Hello, Adam Phillip from the Adam Phillip Show here to tell you I'm a dumbass. This is a preamble to my interview with Patrick Cotnoir from the George Lucas Talk Show, Chris Gethard Show. I'm George Lucas, a Connor Ratliff story, the Naboo movie, all about which we talk in the interview, and all of which I will include in the description down below. So first of all, huge thank you to Patrick for coming on my silly small nothing show. And main reason I'm doing this preamble is to let you know that I'm a dumbass. Um, I had the Streamlabs set up because we were live on Twitch, and the Streamlabs was capturing the Zoom. He could hear my audio on Zoom, but I'd never unmuted my microphone on Streamlabs. So when we were live, half of my audio wasn't working, which is a problem, and it's a bigger problem when you don't have viewers to tell you, "Hey, your mic isn't working, dumbass." So what are you gonna do? So I realized halfway through the interview, and I muted my mic. So halfway through, my mic gets unmuted, and for the first half, I just did text audio. So I remembered my questions, and for the most part, what I said. So I just type that in, and you're gonna get a nice AI generated half robot, half human voice. Um, so yeah, hopefully you can put up with it. I think it's a good interview. Patrick was very generous with his time and with his indulging of my dumb questions and everything. Which and there are some dumb questions. Um, so yeah, thank you for checking out. Check out all the stuff down below in the description. Like and subscribe if you want. Follow me on Twitch. All that call to action stuff. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Patrick. Can we start off by who you are and what you're here to promote?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm Patrick Cotnoir. I'm a LA-based comedy producer, talent booker, casting person, whatever. Whoever wants to pay me to do whatever they want, I will do it. But here to promote today specifically, I'm the producer of a show called The George Lucas Talk Show with comedians Connor Ratliff and Griffin Newman. Connor plays George Lucas and hosts a talk show as if George Lucas was hosting a talk show, and we have real guests on as themselves. We've had crazy people, Whoopi Goldberg, Seth Meyers, Rachel Zegler, insane people who should not be doing a silly talk show hosted by George Lucas. But there's a documentary out about the show right now and about Connor called "I'm George Lucas: A Connor Ratliff Story," and that is available on VOD right now if you go to imgeorgelucas.com. And then the other thing I'm promoting is we recently did a live read, 25th anniversary live read of The Phantom Menace at Dynasty Typewriter here in LA, which was it was an insane thing with an all-star cast. Haley Joel Osment played Anakin. Bobby Moynihan was Darth Maul. Lorraine Newman, insane people. Tony Hale as Qui-Gon, and you can watch that at NabooMovie.com. So those are my two big plugs today.
And any fans of Dropout? TV Vic Michaelis played
Yeah,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is
yes,
great.
it's very silly, very fun.
How
Yeah,
did you get the guest for your show because it is such an out there premise? I've been trying to
sure.
get guest for this show, and it feels weird just
Yeah,
slitting into someone DMs or whatnot. That's basically what I said.
it is. It really is. Yeah, Twitch on your own is bizarre. Not having that built-in audience of the show, because most time it's like three or four people watching, which is totally fine, and I'm very happy to have those people there. But it is like I have no idea how to get more people to watch me on Twitch, beyond just posting about it and telling people how to do it. But when we're doing the show, it's just a lot of promotion, trying to get cool people on that people care about and people like, and just generally like making it an interesting show. My thing always when I'm working on something is, would I want to watch this if I was not working on it? And if the answer is no, then why am I doing this? And if the answer is yes, then great, keep at it. And things take time too. That's the other big thing. Lucas show, we're on our 10th anniversary right now, 10th year, and we were a very small New York based show for like 7 of those years or something like that until COVID happened. So it takes time to get a following and to get a group of people who like what you do to do it. But just trying to put together like a slick show, a slick, cool, fun show. Those are the big things that I think people sometimes forget about. Yeah. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
How do you get the guest on the show because it's such a unique and weird premise? Come be
Yeah.
interviewed by this guy pretending to be George Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Luckily with that show specifically, we've got the 10 years to back it up, and we've had people on just because we knew them from the comedy scene in New York that it's like, oh, it's impressive that this person was on or that person was on. But I think, acting chill and being cool about it, and just like describing what the show is to them in a way that sounds fun for them and worth their time. Obviously a lot of those people are people that we meet at shows in real life or at a party or at whatever it is. And if it comes up, and there's ways to mention the show and talk about the show when you're just in casual conversation where people seem interested, and then you go, "Oh, you should be on sometime." And then if they feel into it, then I'm like, "Great, I'll reach out later," and they'll probably do it. But a lot of it is also just like cold emails to reps and cold emails to agents and managers and stuff like that. Just like hoping that it breaks through the noise of them being asked to go on WTF or Fallon or and any other of the million podcasts that are out there. And I think luckily with that show, it's a weird enough premise that like I can get those reps to open up the email at least because of the subject line. And then,
George
that's
Lucas wants to talk.
basically like that's half the battle. Is just getting the reps to open up the emails. Um, so finding out the way to do that is like it takes a lot of finesse and a lot of time and patience and failure. Just seeing what doesn't work and then having to readjust your whole way of going about it if you realize, well, something is not working because no one is getting back to me with this email. So like I need to re-finagle something here in order to make them care about what we're talking about.
In the documentary, it said that you sort of randomly became the producer slash talent booker for the show. Is that what you were striving for professionally, or did you have other career goals?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to work in the industry. I didn't know, in what respect that was going to be when I was in high school or whatever. When you're watching SNL when you're a kid or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to work on that show. I want to figure out how to get into that world. And like New York and the comedy scene felt like the way to get in there. And I interned there in college for like a year and a half. So like I did the thing that I wanted to do when I was in high school. I worked at the place that I wanted to work at, but I didn't know. Early on, it was a lot of like production coordinating and PAing and stuff like that, which wasn't really my jam. It was a lot of like making sure schedules were correct and sending emails out to people, and it was not exciting to me. So then when I started working on this show called the Chris Gethard Show,
So good.
just because I was going to it, and then I was like, I'm here so often, I should just work on it. And that's basically what I said to them, which is an insane thing for most shows. You go to I don't know, a restaurant enough times, and then you go, well, I'm at Applebee's every Friday, I might as well work here. Like that's crazy, that's not how the world works. But it did work for this because they needed help, and it was in the early days of the show. And that's where I met Connor, and that's where I met a lot of people at UCB, which is what helped me get those gigs later on. And like the Gethard Show and SNL, and I interned at Sesame Street. Like those are kind of the big three things that, yeah, I know when I apply for jobs, I've gotten to the point, and this is not a brag, this is just a reality of like freelance life, that like your resume gets very long because you work on a lot of projects when you're freelancing. And those are the things that I will never delete. I will never get rid of the internships off of my resume because SNL and Sesame Street are like the two things that people always want to talk about. So, you know,
I've recently been
oh
rewatching the
wow.
Chris Gethard show, and during one of the credits I saw
Yeah.
camera operator Patrick Cotnoir, and I thought, oh my god, such a small world in a
Yeah.
large city.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really weird. I know. The comedy world is very small, especially the weirdo comedy world, and that's what that was. But yeah, I mean, I was working on that show. I want to say my first one that I got credit on was episode like 13 or something like that on public access. So I was like really there. I was there there until the bitter end, you know? But yeah, it's a very small world, and so many of us continue to work with each other on things that it's great. Some of my best friends I got from that show, you know?
Do you have a favorite
Man,
episode?
I mean, I haven't watched it in so long. Like,
It
I
still
so
holds up,
that's
and
good.
all episodes are on
Yeah,
YouTube,
that's good
which
to
is
know
great.
because I don't know why. It was such a big part of my life and for so long, but it's one of the things that I just like I'd never go back and just watch a random episode. I mean, the obvious answer, the easy answer is One Man's Trash, the Sheeran Manzukis
I
dumpster
just
episode.
rewatched that episode and tried to get my friend to watch it as well, but
Yeah,
it is a hard sell to sell
sure, of
someone.
course. It's very weird. But it is, I think it's arguably the best episode of the show. I also love the one, oh God, what's it called? The more butts one where the crowd just starts chanting for almost the entire episode, and then it just turns into this like avant-garde dance party concert kind of thing for the entire hour, and that was not what was planned for the show that night. That's another one that I remember liking a lot.
Connor
Yeah,
just released that
yeah.
8 minute between the scenes of him singing that body song,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
the
was great.
my body don't stop. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite episode?
I do love the
Yeah.
trash one cause, as you said, it's one of the greats. I also love the one where Messenger Bag needs to protect Chris and JD, gives him the
Yeah.
ultimatum to leave Chris for dead. But there
Oh,
are so
sure.
many good
Sure, sure,
episodes that
sure.
everyone should check out.
Yes.
Messenger Bag also made a
Yes.
quick cameo in the documentary, and as someone from the Bay Area and a fan, it
Yeah.
was great to see him.
Yeah. It's a really fun show, and it went on for so long that like I think everyone one of the nice things about that show is so many people have a different favorite episode because there's 300 episodes to choose from or however many there are, you know. It's fun.
It's free on YouTube. Everyone should go check it out.
Great. I hope someone does.
So back to your
Yeah.
producing. Is there a guest that you think, I can't believe we
Yeah.
got this person to be on our show?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is ASCAP, but I still can't believe I got Mark Hamill for that or Alan Alda. Those were like two big ones where Kevin Bacon, you know, just like people where you're like, why are these people here? Why is this happening? For the Lucas show, let me think of who is a crazy one. I mean, Ahmed Best was so much fun and so crazy. The guy who played Jar Jar Binks, for people who don't know. That was a really fun one. And he just fully like, you know, he's talking to Watto. And he's talking to George, you remember we were in the desert, like that kind of stuff. Whenever someone knows George and will be like, George, of course you remember we were at that party when the movie wrapped, like, and like fully like buys into the fact that like George, you were there. The man I am talking to is George Lucas and he was there. And they can say, we were at this thing together. It makes me laugh every single time. It also makes me laugh whenever, no matter who is on the show, says the word Watto because I think it's funny to make people say like when Amy Irving was on and she had to be like, "Yes, Watto, that's true." I thought that was so funny, and that is truly like 85% of the comedy. Yeah, but that's 85% of the comedy on that show for me is just people saying the word Watto. Yeah, yeah,
It's so great when people accept the premise. I know there's been a few guests who don't like the one
sure.
from the Edinburgh show that was
Yes.
hard
Oh,
to
yes,
watch.
yes,
I was basically watching
yes,
that episode through my fingers because of how much he
yes.
seemed to not get it and against it.
Yeah, there was a guy at Fringe that didn't totally, and then there was a guy in London who like really didn't. But it's very rare that that happens. And we've basically figured out how to make it work or like at least make it work enough where we can turn the audience against that person and we will come out the victor in the end, you know? Because we give people every opportunity. We're like, this is not going to work. Like, trust me, you're going to want to buy into this. And if they don't do it because they think they're better than it or they're, you know, I'm gonna outsmart them and be like, I know this isn't George Lucas. Like, it never works, and it's never as funny as whatever their brain tells them it's gonna be. You know?
When those things happen, it's so hard to see them go up against Connor and Griffin, who are just master improvisers and can
Yeah,
pull the most obscure reference or joke to make the
yeah.
audience jump to their side.
I think that's why the three of us are friends and why the three of us work together is because we all have insane pulls of like weird facts that will come in handy at some point. You know? So I think that's why it works is because like we can ask weird questions to people that other shows will not ask about some specific project, a movie they made in 1983 or whatever, you know, just like Talk to us about this thing that you've literally never talked to someone else about because they've never asked. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about the show. You know, when we have like a writer or a producer or a voice actor, and it's like we're able to talk about projects that like don't normally get the love and appreciation that we think they should.
Going
You know,
deep into their IMDb page.
exactly. That's the goal. You got to always scroll. You scroll to the bottom, you get the good stuff.
One of those great pulls that Connor does was in a blank check episode where he was playing George and they were talking about a movie and George says,
Sure.
it broke box office records, and Griffin goes, it was a flop, what are you talking
Uh huh.
about? To which George replies, yeah, it broke records for the worst opening of an animated movie of all
Uh huh.
time.
Yeah. Strange magic. That's strange magic. Yeah. And I think that's why we like doing it is because like that guy changed the industry in so many different ways and changed how movies are made in so many different ways that like it you know, he doesn't deserve dumb boys online saying that they A ruined his childhood or B shouldn't have sold his company or you know whatever. And our show is not about that. Our show is like we may not love everything that the guy's ever done, but at least if we're watching something, we can name 10 things in it that like changed the fucking world, you know, in like in how to make movies or how to make TV or whatever it is. And that's like what's important to us is that we don't want to we're not dumping on this guy. We like this guy. We want to be in this guy's corner. We like, you know, he's done so much for us personally as, you know, connoisseurs of movies and TV and culture and whatever that us I don't want to say reclaiming his you know place in the spotlight because we're trying, you know, like I feel like people who watch our show have a maybe different warmer opinion than the average person does on George Lucas because they feel like they know this guy even though they really don't.
I mean, I'm sure we can say this, but without George Lucas, Griffin's favorite movie wouldn't exist, Toy Story
Of
2,
course.
because George created the Pixar computer,
Yes.
which he would later
Yes.
sell to Steve Jobs to make the production company we now know and
Yeah.
love.
He's also, you know, you could say he's responsible for Roger Rabbit, the other poster behind you. There's so many things like so many of those guys who worked in that movie started by working on Star Wars. So like so many of those techniques that got used in that movie would not have happened had those Star Wars movies not happened. So you can find something in almost any movie that like you can trace to that guy. But he's good at. Yeah.
So I gotta ask, but has there been any slight nudging of trying to get Rachel to get her buddy Steve on the show? It seems like it's just inches
Mm-mm.
away, and to see Connor's George and Steven interact would be amazing.
Never a serious conversation. Never anything that you have not seen on the air, I think. I don't you know, you got to respect boundaries when you're talking to people and like if Steve ever comes on the show, it's going to happen because it was meant to happen, not because Rachel reached out and bugged him for us, you know? There's certain people where it's like that's a tough ask because they're such good friends and they go back so long that you don't want to make him uncomfortable with the fact that we're pretending to be his friend, you know? So that conversation I don't think has ever really happened, but I would love for him to come on. Steve, if you're watching, A, call in.
Yes, Steven
B, come
Spielberg
on the
is my
show.
one viewer right now.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
As we said, I'm new to this
Yeah.
producing, and it's been hard to find guests. So I'm wondering, how confident are you on your producing skills? Like, are you able to book me a guest right now live on the air?
I think it depends on what level guest you
I
want.
don't know. I will say I'm the world's biggest Ben Schwartz fan or a huge Darcy
Oh,
Carden
wow.
fan. I even have a Jan app from the Good Place
Oh my
tattoo on my leg.
gosh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is let's see that tattoo. You got to figure out how to show me that tattoo. Go stand on that couch. I don't care what you got to do. That's okay.
What am I doing? I'll just take a picture of it and hold it up to the webcam.
No, 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 no. I want to see it with my eyes. I want to see it with my eyes. Wow. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it. Now, yeah, exactly. See, that's producing. You just got to do it, you know? That's true. Yeah, that's true. How quickly could I get you a guest? I don't know about either of those that quickly, but if I you were
Can we call your mom?
who was the third who? My mom. I could probably get my mom on if we really wanted to do that. Um, no, I mean, look, I think there are certain people where I'm like, I could text you, and if you're not doing anything, I could get you to come on, which I think has happened multiple times on the show. There was on our first show when we started talking about Arliss, and then like an hour later, I got Robert Wool to come on the show. It was like a pretty good pull, I think, on my part because we did not know that was going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The answer is yes. Will I? Maybe not. But the answer is yes, I could, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Um, so, yeah. Has there ever been
Kind of a follow-up. Any chance we'll see a collab with Dropout.tv? Oh, weird, I'm getting an echo.
You're good on my
Any
end.
chance of a collab with Dropout TV and the George Lucas
I
talk
would
show?
love it. I would love it. I love Sam. I love so many of those people that work over there. Look, if they want to have us, I think we would be open and willing to doing whatever they want. Um, but yeah, no, I especially since moving out here, I feel like I've become friends with a lot of people who are dropout regulars, and I think they're all super funny, and that's a really cool platform that they've built. So no official discussions, but never say never.
I saw Sam was at Fringe Fest this year looking for shows to put on the platform.
Yeah, him and Elaine came and saw the Baron and the Junk Dealer, the play we were doing, which was great. Yeah. Hopefully some other time we'll be able to do it. We haven't done it in a while.
One of my favorite GLTS episodes is the After Dark episode
Uh-huh.
at the Dynasty Typewriter with
Yeah.
Darcy Carden, and in that episode, it has one of my favorite bits where Griffin reveals that Griffin and Connor
Yeah.
refer to each other as George and Watto over text even when not on stage. Question 1 is why, and question 2 is there a difference
Yeah.
between texting Watto and Griffin or George and Connor?
Sometimes it can feel like I'm texting Watto. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't think I've ever slipped up and called George Connor or Watto Griffin. I don't think I ever have, because in my brain they are two separate people. Like, those are different guys in my brain. I'm talking to Griffin right now while I'm talking to Watto right now, and Watto does not know the things that Griffin knows, and Griffin does not know the things that Watto knows. Like, that is how my brain focuses it. So in that moment, yeah, I was getting yelled at by George. I was not getting yelled at by Connor. It was, no, George, I'm not doing this. That might be the sign of a psychopath. I don't know. But yeah, in that moment, it was definitely a George and Watto moment because, we were talking about the show, and like, I knew that this was George's mind on how he wants that Tamagotchi. Whereas Connor would like it, but probably would not be as emphatic about it.
Are they saved in your phone as Connor or George?
They are saved in my phone as Griffin Connor. Yeah. Yeah.
I had to ask because it's just one of those moments that I love when Griffin reveals there's no editorializing while y'all are reading the text.
Now, yeah. Is that weird or is that cute?
I really don't know. It is a bit weird.
Yeah. It was for the show. He wanted the Tamagotchi for the show. Here's what I'll say. You brought it up, not me. I forgot about it.
It is one of my favorite episodes.
Sure.
It's like my go-to comfort episode to watch because it's not 3 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not 12 hours. I get it.
It's not an Irishman plus.
No, it's not.
I gotta ask about one of my many other favorite moments of the show. Were you expecting Griffin to have such a large reaction when Forky appeared?
um, yeah, I don't know if it was that, because I feel like in that moment I'm like, stop it. I'm like, chill out. We're trying to have fun here. And I don't want to scare him.
I expected it to be a big reaction. I don't know if I expected the full screaming, yelling, hyperventilating, whatever it was that he did. I haven't watched that in a while, but I remember in the moment being like, "Don't ruin this, man. Don't blow this for us." This is a good one because Connor and I knew Tony. Griffin, I don't think had ever met him, so that was his first introduction to Griffin. But Connor and I had done a few things with him at that point, so we knew we were fine. It was a matter of, well, now you need to meet this other lunatic who's on screen and does love Forky.
I know Leon Critch,
Mhm.
the director of Toy Story 3, was
Yeah.
also on the show at
Right,
Sketchfest this
you were
year.
there. You saw him.
Yeah, I saw him outside after the show, but I didn't want to bug him. People were getting him to sign things to resell, I'm sure.
Sure.
But is there anyone else Griffin
Yeah.
has been like, can you get this person on the show? Because he is such a huge Toy Story fan.
We had Karen
Prell in Seattle this year, who she was Red Fraggle on Fraggle Rock, but then puppetry gigs weren't coming as fast and furious as they were in the late 80s, early 90s, and she was an animator at Pixar. So we did talk about that there too. I'm trying to think of other people that he has said, "Can you get this person?" I don't know if anyone else has come to mind. There have been people where he's like, "I know this person, I can get this person," and have said yes to that. But I don't know if there's ever been like a request that has gotten through. We tried a couple Pixar people for that show. We were, we knew we were gonna have Lee, but wanted to see if we could get some other people. No one else came through. But in the future, San Francisco's a great place because there's a lot of Pixar people, a lot of Lucasfilm people, a lot of ex Lucasfilm people, that kind of thing. So we like going there and trying to get weird, cool people that we wouldn't necessarily get somewhere else.
Since we're on the topic, this is a
Yeah.
two-parter. I was at the SF Sketchfest show this year, and I was wondering, one, why didn't you just move the chair closer to the mic instead of laying on the floor for 80 minutes?
How real in the weeds about stuff.
I
I think
almost heckled, move the chair.
sure. I think I knew it would be funnier. It was one of those things where I was like, ugh, I did fly all the way up here and now I'm just lying on the floor for the entire show. Uh, yeah, it didn't matter. I knew it was going to be funnier. And I knew that if I didn't do it, someone would be giving me shit the entire show about moving the chair. Sometimes you got to pick your battles, especially in that show. And that was one of them that I was like, I don't know if there's a way for me to win this.
Part 2. What is it like dealing with a drunk Connor after the show?
Uh, yeah, for people who haven't seen that show, Connor has drank maybe 5 times in his entire life. And I've been with him for 3 of them, I want to say. 2 of them were Lucas shows. One of them was at the Gethard show. Uh, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but it's fun, because everyone who is seeing him is so excited to see him like that because it's kind of a different Connor. I just remember he really wanted to talk to Paul F. Tompkins after the show because he was in the next show, and he did for a little bit, and I had to like pull him out of there because I was like, "We need to go sign posters. You can talk to Paul later." So that was fun, but it is, it's a new experience for him every time, and it's a different Connor for us. So just got to work with what we got. I think.
It's an annual tradition at this point.
I think so. I don't think it can change. I think that's probably what it's going to be, which is good and bad.
As someone who has never had a sip of alcohol, seeing him like that makes me not want to start.
Sure. You got to do it in a controlled environment at first when you're going to be okay. I'm sure you would be fine though.
So with you being on the floor thing during the Sketchfest show, do you ever get tired of being the quote-unquote punching bag of the talk show?
Not really. I mean, sometimes where I'm like, I have a question that I think this would be a good question, and then I get shut down. Where I'm like, you should let me ask this question because I think it would be a better show. That can get a little frustrating sometimes, but I know that it's when I'm doing that show, I know where I am. So I know what the environment is going to be. And at this point, I am very used to, and I think I can work around, being put in that situation, figuring out how to still get my questions out. So it's different on a live stream versus a live show. On the live stream, I feel like I can get away with more asking silly or offbeat questions because we don't have a time limit and there's not a group of people in front of us that I feel like I'm wasting their time, you know? So it's hard for me to go back and be like, in 1982 you did one episode of the new show. What was that like? Like that is harder to do in a live show setting than it is on a live stream. So I appreciate it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
We mentioned it earlier, but you just released the table read
Yeah.
of The Phantom Menace, which was great. What was your favorite part of that? And did you know the actors were going to choose the voices that they chose because Matt's oil baron character for Newt Gunray or Eric doing Daffy Duck for Jar Jar was great?
What was my It was insane. Yeah. We had a lot of insane people, and I didn't really give them any direction beyond sometimes this movie gets shit on by a lot of people, and we don't want that. We want this to be a fun, joyful, celebration of this movie. I don't want you to be like, what is this that I'm reading? This is dumb. I want you to be like, I'm reading this line to the best of my ability in the character that I have chosen. And what was my favorite part sort of changes every time I watch it. I think it's either Anakin's entrance when Haley Joel, runs in from the back of the room. I think that's very fun. Or I think it's Qui-Gon explaining midi-chlorians and then breaking into basically like a church hymn, singing the lyric, plot summarizing what midi-chlorians are to Anakin, and then Vic as Obi-Wan dancing in the background. I think that might be my favorite part, but it truly changes every time I watch because there's so many funny things and everyone is doing something funny and different and unexpected in a way that I love. And then did we know the voices before? Not really. For the Nemoidians specifically, we gave them the direction of and we didn't do a rehearsal. So that was the first reading with everybody. Like no one had done any rehearsing or anything. But we said to them, obviously we don't want to do the regular voices of the Nemoidians because they have not aged well. But we want you all to get on the same page about what voices you are going to be doing. So you guys figure it out. I don't know if I knew beforehand what they were going to do. I had suggested that they do like a Brooklyn Greaser Fonzie type of voice. But then they decided to go for Southern lawyer, Southern gentleman voice, which I think was ultimately the better option because it was very, very like boss hoggy, funny.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out.
Yeah, I loved it. Was there any discussion of like fly Griffin out to Watto or no?
There was no discussion of that. No, yeah, no. It's a long flight. It's a long, expensive flight, and you can't fly people out and put them up on the money that you make from those kind of shows.
Mm-hmm. So in the documentary, I was just kind of curious how we kind of talked about it, how you got into the entertainment business, because I didn't know you did stand up, and it said you were the open mic.
I was the warm up comic for the first show. I do not do stand up. I was warmer. It was truly like at the first show that we ever did in 2014, or that he ever did in 2014. I was not a part of the show at that point, but I was coming and he knew I was coming. And he texted me maybe like 20 minutes before the show saying, hey, so-and-so who was doing warm up for the show just bailed. Will you do it? And I said, absolutely not. And he said, I really need you to do it. And I reluctantly did it. And, I'd gone to enough talk shows where it was like, I knew the general patter of like, who's here from out of town? What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Like those kind of questions that I was able to stretch it out and make it work for 10 minutes or however long I did. I truly couldn't even tell you. But yeah, not a stand-up, not a performer. I had done drama in high school and sort of felt like I got it out of my system. I was like, I did my acting. I'm all done. I don't need to do any more on stage stuff. And then I didn't for a very long time, except for like little weird things here and there. And then during COVID, it just became one of those things where I was going to lose my mind if I wasn't talking to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how I ended up on that show. Was just we all realized that the three of us were extremely locked down during that time, at least for that first year and a couple months, because of health issues or just general cowardness and like not wanting to get sick and that kind of stuff. So that was our way to connect to the outside world and people besides. Connor was with his parents. I had a roommate. Griffin did not have anybody living with him. So like you know, it's hard to, you need to talk to more people than one every week. So that was what I needed.
In the documentary, Connor says he doesn't know if he'll be doing the show in 5 years.
Yeah.
And with the way, because of lockdown, it took 5 years to release the documentary.
Yeah.
So how do you see him doing it 5 years from now? And was there any discussion to sort of like to continue shooting more to include the pandemic? Because it sort of feels like it's all up to this. And then as someone of the fan of the show, like,
Sure.
So much has happened since then. So
Yeah, totally.
how did you guys decide to cut it off there?
Yeah, I think we decided, well, they had been filming for so long at that point and had put in so much time in production that once COVID happened, it was basically all shot except for Griffin's interview and a few things here and there. And I think, we had all put enough time into it at that point that I don't know if there was much more that we wanted to talk about. And we sort of felt like all the COVID stuff, so much of that show is online that, if you want to watch it, you can see it. And I don't know if more of it would have really made that doc any better. I think that, the main thrust of that doc is like, what is it like putting on a live talk show in New York, and that was the majority of what they shot. So I think that it grew into what it needed to be. There was some discussion about shooting a little bit more afterwards, but that we kind of all just were like, let's just finish it here and we can show the live stream stuff, but it doesn't need to become, the live stream show. There are some things I wish we had shot or put in there, but whether that was like gotten a couple more people to do talking heads who I think became big parts of the show, but I don't think that we needed it. And we raised money for it, and you hit a point where you're like, we've used almost all that money, So working in these low budget doc worlds, it's like you got to do what you can with the money that you got. And then once you hit a point, you're like, I'm out of money. So let's use what we've got and finish this thing up. And it still took a long time. We're going on like 5.5 years at this point since they DM'd me for the first time to do this doc. And yeah, I don't know if we would want to have kept going, but it had finished up I guess early last year, and then we started sending it to festivals and stuff. So it's been done for a little bit. It was just a matter of getting it into the festivals and getting the distribution deal and all that stuff. Do I think he'll still be doing it in 5 years? I truly don't know. I think at this point, we're doing the show when we want to do it, which is kind of the ideal way to do it. We're not on any set schedule, and we did, I want to say 8 shows at the beginning of this year, the first like 4 or 5 months, which is a lot for us, especially when they're mostly live shows. So I think, we might do 3 more shows for the rest of the year. We might do 2, we might do 1, we might do 8. I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to go. I know we'll do a holiday special. I know we'll do a New York Comic Con and probably another New York show, and then beyond that, it's up to them when they want to do it, So I wish I knew. I'll do it as long as they want to do it. That's my answer. But it's ultimately up to the guys on the screen, and it's ultimately up to Connor. Connor's the end all be all there.
Cool. The documentary didn't show this, but did you contribute to picking up your 55 sticks?
Did I contribute? That's a great question, and I truly don't remember. That was so long ago that I truly don't know. I assume I did, but I couldn't tell you that to begin with. Yeah. That's a great question. No one has asked that question.
What? I feel like that would be like one that everyone would be asking.
That question, and I don't know the answer.
That's so funny. That's such a good moment of like behind the scenes.
I
just want like 30 minutes of that in the documentary. It's like 1 stick, 2 sticks.
Yeah, you won't get that, but we are working on the Blu-ray, and there's a lot of extra stuff that I'm hoping to get on that Blu-ray. So
I bought the bonus features, but I haven't watched them yet.
Well, let me tell you this, that's only part of the bonus features.
Oh my god.
The Star Wars thing, in that it's like, oh, here's another more special edition with more stuff. So there will be, I want that 3-disc Blu-ray coming out. That's what I'm looking
3
for. 3
disc. That's
the goal.
That's pricey.
That's the goal.
What would you like to do next? Because you guys have done live shows, Zoom shows, the Baron and the Junk Dealer.
Yeah.
What is there anything that you guys are thinking about? Podcast version of the show, or
Yeah, we haven't really. I think the show is so visual that it would be hard to do it as a podcast. We've talked about that in the past, pre-COVID, but I think so much of the joke is this guy is dressed up as Watto, this guy is dressed up as George, that it would take away a lot of it if they were not seen by the crowd. There's a lot of places I would still like to do shows. We've never done Chicago, we've never done Austin, we've never done, Orlando. I'd love to do Vegas. I think that's
oh my
very funny.
god, Watto
Uh,
in Vegas.
not like a big room, but like some comedy club in Vegas I think would be very funny. So I'd like to do more of that. I like traveling with it, and I like going different places. I'm gonna try to go to Tokyo for Celebration next year. We'll see if the other two want to go to Tokyo, but that would be fun. um yeah, I don't know. I think it's more touring, and then hopefully some more live streams, because I know at least Connor and I like doing the live streams still, so we'll see.
Awesome. Well, those. I think the last question I have before we do the game is, what's your favorite George Lucas talk show moment? But I might have already asked that.
You haven't. What's my favorite moment? That's a great question. It's probably Olaf Tompkins calling all the people to say
Yeah.
you're welcome for the people that gave him special thanks credits on various things over the years. That's probably it, ultimately. Because it's like the most George Lucas talk show-y moment, I think.
Yeah.
It's very esoteric, very inside baseball entertainment-y, but also silly and dumb, and getting people that we love to go in on stupid bits.
Hmm. Speaking of Paul F. Tompkins, there's been more than one occasion where on Comedy Bang Bang, Scott throws you guys under the bus for
Yeah.
running long. Any retort to that?
Uh, um, any retort to that? I mean, my answer is yes, he's right. He's right. He's not wrong. I'm fine with it. Look, all press is good press.
Hmm.
And anytime we get mentioned on that show, it's so bizarre for me, as someone who's been listening to that show for 15 years or whatever at this point. Like, it's very weird to hear either the show's name or my name mentioned on that show, or Scott hasn't seen, or whatever. So I'm always grateful that he does it, even if he's dunking on us a little bit, which is fine.
Yeah, it's Connor did. Who did he do? James Cameron on there?
Cameron, yeah.
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 I'm always waiting for him to do George on there, but
Well, he did George once years ago, like pre-COVID. He did George on there,
oh really?
and then when they got asked to go on, when they did James Cameron and Jake Sully, they said, "Do you want us to just do George and Watto?" And he said, "Well, I just did the show, and I feel like I talked to George and Watto for 2 hours, and I don't know what else I would say to them."
Hmm.
So then they said, "Fine, we'll do Jake Cameron and James Cameron and Jake Sully," which is basically the same dynamic. And they did something else too. I feel like they did a third one that was like that as well.
I know
But
Connor did the live show where he was Mr. Books,
Mr.
which
Books,
was
yes. Take a look. Yeah.
great.
Very funny.
That just okay. That reminded me of one last question that just came
Yes.
up. So Connor has done George, James, and I love the George R. Martin. Are there any
Mhm.
other characters that, or like
Oh,
authors, directors
yeah.
that?
Got another one. I don't want to say what it is,
Okay.
but there is another one that if we ever decided to do it, it's very dumb. But it fits in that world. So we'll see if it ever happens. But there is one in the bank that we've got that could be done.
Okay. Because that George R. Martin one is great, and Griffin was
It is
what, the Blue Dragon or something, or
Syrian. It is crazy that I think he was only George R. R. Martin once.
I think yeah, one time.
It feels like he's done it a few times, but I truly think it was only once.
Okay, so now we're gonna go into our game. Let me share my screen.
Now, I don't know what this is.
No, you do not.
I'm very nervous.
Um, wait, hold on. Okay. So can you see that?
Okay. Great.
So
Yeah. I'll hide the spoilers.
okay. Yeah. Let me slide. How do I
View maybe?
view? Yeah.
Full screen at the bottom?
Got it.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is name the producer, name the produce or producer,
Okay.
or
Great.
you'll have egg on your face.
Sure.
So first one's a gimme.
Banana.
Perfect.
Well, forgetting specific, Granny Smith apple.
Good job, Granny Smith apple.
Great. That's Kathleen Kennedy.
Perfect. There are 10 by the way.
Oh, now this is tough. Dragon fruit.
Oh, good. Yeah, dragon fruit.
Great. Oh, are those mangoes?
Those are not mangoes.
Are they? I don't know. Are they kumquats?
No, I'm gonna give you one more guess.
Man, I don't know. Are they? I'm gonna say star fruit.
No, those
I don't
are
know.
chayote squash.
I had no idea.
Now, do we remember what the subtitle of the game was?
Oh, or I'll have egg on my face?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't. I'm not gonna make you do it.
Yeah.
So I have egg on my face.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here we go. Now this is the producer.
Next one.
Now for everyone that I get wrong, does that happen?
Yep.
Is that Ryan Johnson?
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That was J.J. Abrams.
Oh no! Oh no! What am I doing?
Ugh.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is John Landis.
Really?
Yeah. Director of American Werewolf in London.
That was Tim Burton.
Oh no! No, Patrick!
Patrick! Let me take off my glasses.
Oh no!
Ow! Fuck. Ow! Okay.
Oh no!
I might need new headphones.
Oh God, is that I'm gonna say that's Alfred Molina.
No.
No?
This is
How did I go from doing so
Zero
well?
Mostel from The Producers, a Mel Brooks movie.
Gosh. I mean, if we're being technical, I think it's Zero Mostel from Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
But
Well, I just typed in Zero Mostel. I'm just saying that's why he's a producer.
oh, sure,
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Oh, that went all over my keyboard, I think. Ugh. Please get this.
That's a cantaloupe, I think.
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. That is. I think that's Gene Wilder
What? You're
from
just...
the producers.
What are you talking about?
That's Gene Wilder, right? Red hair.
No. There's egg in my eye.
Yes.
Ugh. Fuck. You're doing... You just don't know this fruit, right?
I think it's Gene Wilder. Young Frankenstein, Running Scared, married to Gilda Radner.
Was he really?
Yeah.
There's eggshell on my head. Ugh. This is the Chris Gethard type thing. And it was a rambutan.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That was the last one.
Oh, no. Let's do it again.
Ugh. I thought you would get more.
Yeah, me too.
That
I'm
JJ
sorry.
and Tim Burton one was really bad.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I don't know how that happened.
You did it on purpose.
No, I would never do that to you.
Okay, so I'm bad at ending interviews. So you're going to end the interviews, and I'll be asking you questions
Sure.
that are progressively worse, more invasive, things you shouldn't ask people. But
Yeah.
before we do that, why don't you tell everybody where to find the documentary and everything?
Yeah, I'm GeorgeLucas.com. You can get it on VOD now. We just signed a distribution deal, so it'll be able to be streamed in more places very soon. I won't say where because I don't know if they're finalized yet. But you can get all the info there, trailer. You can watch everything there. You can watch the Naboo movie at NabooMovie.com. George Lucas Talk Show's on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, Cotnoir. I'm on Twitter at Patrick Cotnoir. You go to patrickcotnoir.com. That's my website. All the info's on there too.
Great. Well, before we wrap this up, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Ugh. And okay, first question: how are you today?
I was okay. I had a lot of work I had to do earlier, but I'm doing okay.
What's your favorite video game of all time?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's probably GTA 5 because I played it a lot during COVID. I would just drive around. I wouldn't do any missions or kill anybody. I just liked to feel like I was doing something normal.
I'm thinking of playing that on stream soon myself. A favorite
Fun.
meal, or what would your last meal be?
I really like Cape Cod scallops.
Hmm.
Big scallop guy, and I also like salmon. So I'd probably get like salmon and some spinach and maybe French fries or something.
There's egg yolk everywhere. How old were you when you stopped believing in Santa?
Great question. 8, 9.
8, 9.
We never had the conversation saying he wasn't real, so it was more up to me to figure it out.
Have you ever lied to someone to get something for free?
100%.
Do you know what? Remember what it was?
Yeah. You want me to say?
If you want.
I don't know if this is a lie as much as it's an admission of the truth. We went to Slam Dance to premiere this documentary, and there was a building giving out free jackets to filmmakers from Sundance, and we said our documentary is in the festival. We did not say it was Slam Dance and not Sundance. So very nice $300 jacket for free.
Name something you think is overrated that everybody seems to love.
Game of Thrones.
Wow. And you had George R.R. Martin on your show.
Sorry, guys.
What's your biggest fear?
Heights.
Heights. I think you said lights for a second.
It's so dark in here.
When's the last time you cried?
A couple months ago, probably. I couldn't tell you why, but it was probably in the last 3 or 4 months.
When's the last time you wet the bed?
I don't think I ever have.
Whoa.
As far as I can remember, that doesn't mean I didn't when I was a kid, but
last time you had diarrhea and why?
Probably last week. Couldn't tell you why. It just happens sometimes, and
you're blowing through these.
Diabetes. It's a diabetes thing.
If you were to go to prison, what would it be for?
Involuntary manslaughter. It's just the first thing I thought of.
Most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
I don't really get embarrassed that much. I don't know. I don't. I don't get embarrassed.
I need to come up with harder questions for the next.
I'm trying to get to the end of this list.
Most embarrassing thing you've done in front of a crush.
Ooh.
Or most embarrassed you've been in front of a crush.
But again, this is kind of the same thing where it's like I don't get embarrassed. There are things looking back where I'm like, oh, that was embarrassing, you know. And it was probably just like trying to act cool or pretending I liked things that I didn't. I remember I downloaded a John Mayer song because someone said they really liked this one song. That's pretty embarrassing.
What's your credit score?
I think it's. Do you want me to look it up? I'll look it up right now.
You don't have to answer these questions. You're ending the interview.
Yeah, no, I know. But I want to see how long this can go for. We're looking up this credit score right now. Is this something you're supposed to keep private?
I don't think it really matters.
Let's see.
It's just I know it's something that's
I don't
like.
think it really matters either. There we go. View credit score. It's just I know it's something that's like.
Oh no, there's
Oh,
ink
no,
on
can
my
I-
Millennium Falcon
This is the
mouse.
problem.
Hmm.
Oh no. Well, I can't log into my bank account. I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not letting me log in, but it's pretty good.
Okay. How much money is in your bank account?
How much money is in your bank account?
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick Cotnoir, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Patrick Cotnoir, everyone.
I'm gonna go
Thanks for
shower
watching.
now.
See you guys.
I'm gonna go shower now.
Great.
See ya.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were still on or not. I
Oh,
was
no,
waiting
yeah,
for you
we're
to
ending it.
turn it off.
Oh, yeah, we're ending it.
Amazing. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.